All right, now he turns on my microphone. Now we can hear everything, right? Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in China, in Japan. We have people all over in Tibet. We have a big audience in Tibet. I want to welcome all our listeners in Tibet. Thank you so much. They're still sleeping, but when they come up, we'll have the MP3. I'm Mark McIntire, your host today for Voices of Santa Barbara, a.k.a. Santa Bumpkin. And today we have a Page One media star, emerging Page One news press yesterday. Was it yesterday?
I think it was yesterday. No, it was whatever Tuesday was. So yeah,
whatever Tuesday was. Yeah,
whatever Tuesday was.
Well, in Tibet, it was Thursday, actually.
Tuesday,
so,
March, whatever the hell.
Yeah, so those of you in Tibet. Anyway, this is CageEnglander is my special featured guest today. And the reason why he was on Page One of the Santa Barbara News Press is because he had the cojones to actually step up and push back against the liberal progressive dominance ideology at Santa Barbara City College. Welcome to the show, Cage.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. Sorry to get you up at such an ungodly hour at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was up at 4 a.m. That's the least of my concerns.
Cage is used to L.A. music time. He's a big, successful guy down there in the L.A. music business. He's only 16 years old. He makes more money than anybody here at the station, and probably the owner of the news press, by the way. But anyway.
Oh, definitely not more than that.
So anyway, how did you get it into your mind? Well, I just should mention that you're a business major, right?
Yeah, business major, American Lit minor is, I guess, what you would theoretically put me in if my situation.
And you're still in high school, technically.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not technically a major, but if my classwork load is basically business major, music minor, music minor, American literature minor.
Right.
I can't speak.
And so you are called a middle college.
Yeah, middle college is a program that's run through Alta Vista High that basically allows 60 students a year to attend City College instead of a standardized high school and fulfill their
and you get into that because you're a genius, correct? Is that how you get into that?
Something like that. No, I mean
you're in the top 61%. You're in the 1%.
Well, without naming names, there are definitely some dumb people there. It's not like it's a genius program.
There are dumb people everywhere. You find them in the street. You follow all over them.
But typically, it's for students that either academically are just above high school or like socially just don't really vibe with the high school
or gang members. They're thugs, they're drug dealers, and pimps and prostitutes.
We don't have many gang members or druggies that I know of.
Yeah, that's all right, but they don't get into the program. They don't get into the 1% like you are, right? You're one of the 1%.
I think if they could give a good interview, you could get a lot of gang members in there.
Okay, we're going to put out a call. Any gang member wants to be my guest on Voices of Santa Barbara, you just contact Richard Dugan. Don't call me. Call Richard Dugan here at the station. Richard is here as our engineer today. We have a lot of fun with Richard. We're having a lot of fun with Cage England. Why in the world did you start a YAF, a Young American for Freedom club at of all places, the mecca of liberalism here on the planet, Santa Barbara City College?
So I got kind of fed up with the overall echo chamber that is throughout City College. Yeah. And my original plan was just to bring speakers on however possible by starting some sort of conservative club at all. And I didn't really have any plan to partner with YAF, but then a great guy in town, James Fenkner, was like, hey, you should make an official YAF chapter because it'll make soliciting donations way easier and get you more connections and in the media, etc. And I was like, that's kind of smart. So I decided to run it through YAF. Either way, I really wanted to bring more conservative voices to City College, not to change opinion, but just to change dialogue and just expose people to more. Well,
you got
voices.
Your training with Alex Madagian's critical thinking project when I was the faculty advisor for that project. That's how I first stumbled upon you, by the way.
Yeah, that club was really cool. It's a lot less partisan than what we're doing now.
Right.
We're kind of throwing bipartisanship, not bipartisan discussion, but we're throwing a bipartisan club kind of out the window.
Well, there are what, 4 or 5 liberal progressive clubs only? You're not allowed in unless you
not technically for political purposes, but there are 4 or 5 clubs that clearly with the speakers that they bring in are bringing in solely progressive and liberal speakers, which is not necessarily a bad thing in academia. Whatever viewpoints you want to bring to an academic institution, more than welcome to. But our goal is to be a balancing force to that. The sad part about that is the amount of money we need. By the way, anyone who wants to give us donations, SBCC YAF at gmail.com.
See, now you know why. Now you know why he's a big successful mogul down there in Hollywood in the music business.
the thing is to compete with 5 clubs with only 1 club. Simple math would dictate we're going to need a lot more money than them.
Yeah.
So our big
depends
goal.
on what you want to do with it, right?
Oh yeah, our big goal is to get speakers in that will sell out auditoriums. People like Shapiro, Andrew Clave, and Michael Knowles.
Ben Shapiro. That's
Yeah,
your
the devil
target,
himself.
Huh? The Satan himself.
The only alt-right
the devil.
Orthodox Jew. Yeah.
He's the devil. The devil made me do it.
Remember Flip Wilson from the 60s? No, you don't.
I do not remember Flip Wilson from the
Oh,
60s.
the black comedian. He used to go in drag, and his favorite character was Geraldine. And Geraldine would put a hand on her hips, and he wore a little mini skirt and go,
The devil made me do it.
he lived in my building, by the way. He was,
Really?
Oh, yeah, he was
Hilarious.
great. He was great. So all of us would stand on our balcony before he went to the studio. We'd go, with our hands on our hips, and we'd say,
Don't let the devil make you do it.
So yeah, we're looking at speakers like those. The main goal with this club is actually self-sufficiency. We don't want to have to keep asking people for
it must be
donations.
sustainable.
Something like that, where we can't.
Now
Sadly,
the
we can't
liberal
make money
dictionary
using
word.
solar
The liberal
power.
dictionary. Yes, let's use the liberals dictionary. Yeah.
So our main goal
Sustainable.
is to bring speakers in that'll sell well, and then charge small cover fees. We're going to try to make sure nothing goes over $20 on the cover fee.
Oh, really?
Nothing
Really?
would go over $20.
That's interesting.
Because we do want to make these accessible community events.
Yeah.
But if we can do that, if we can rent out a theater with all expenses paid for about $2,000, and then we sell the Garvin, I know, for example, is 400 seats at even $10.
431 actually.
Really?
Yeah,
431?
when I had Michael Shermer in there, it was 431.
431.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So even if we charge $10, that's $4,300. We can throw $1,000 of that to CC, and then the club's net profit is $1,300. So that's kind of our goal. We want to be. We of course will always accept donations, but our main goal is to need them as little as possible.
And where do you send those donations again, Mr.
SBCC YAF at gmail.com.
That was what was that again? I didn't really hear that.
SBCC YAF at SBCC YAF at gmail.com. Yeah, that
I
one.
think I got that. Okay, I'll be back on
Or
that.
if you have any inquiries about just media or anything personal, you can also email me personally at CageEnglander at gmail.com. All of that's up on the YAF's Facebook page and Twitter, I believe. If it's not up there, I'm going to check this after. Feel dumb and put it up there immediately after and pin the post.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal. We
So the goals. Let's just review the goals. The goals are to present a conservative voice on the campus, which is dominated by liberal progressives, and that's fair. They certainly have the right to the First Amendment rights.
Oh,
and
totally. Yeah,
protections that you
they
do.
can bring on whatever speakers they want.
And they do, and that's great. But now you want to have opposing. How do you think this is going to go? How do you think?
Oh, it'll go great. No, I don't believe that.
Do you think that? Do you think that the college is going to say, "Hey, Ben Shapiro's coming. My God,
So no,
let's all buy a ticket to that."
We have no expectations of easy management with college administrators. That's never been on our list of things we expect.
Yeah.
We do expect a lot of protest. We do expect all that. But the thing is,
Do you expect them
honestly,
trying to burn a building down like they did at Berkeley when Ben Shapiro appeared up there at Berkeley?
you know, I think it would be very hard to burn any CC buildings down. I encourage anyone to try.
Oh no, you can't do that. You can't. Do that. No, you can't do
We
that.
can't encourage them.
No, you can't do that. No.
Darn. Well, in that case,
Right.
I encourage the police to make sure no one tries.
Right.
I don't foresee that being a problem.
Are you ready? Are you
ready?
ready, for instance, to do what Berkeley had to do, which was demand that the sponsoring organization pay a large security deposit fee for this extra security that may be involved? Are you prepared to do that?
So in that case, first of all, we'd have to see how much if they want $200, sure, we can throw that deposit down. But they wouldn't. If they want a substantial
It'll be a lot
amount,
more than $200.
We're more than willing to look into alternative places to house a speaker.
Right.
We're always open to that. Of course, being a city college club, we would love to be able to be at City College. That would
Well,
be,
I mean, if you are approved by the ASG, and if you are a city college club, and your membership of students,
we should.
Yeah, you
we
should
should.
be,
But if
yeah.
they expect some security deposit that makes it
Right.
price prohibitive,
do you have a faculty advisor yet for your club?
we do, though I will not be naming names because generally
No,
the
I just
faculty
wanna know if you do.
advisor. We definitely do. We are as of 3 p.m. today ish, depending on how quickly I can drive to CC
Mm-hmm.
and get the paperwork done. we should have a faculty advisor, and we should be an officially recognized club.
All right, then. Liftoff is going to be coming this afternoon. We're going to take a little break right now. Cage Englander is my special guest. Page One News Press New Media Star. We'll be right back. Having a great time here. Welcome our vast audience in Tibet. They are just now having lunch, I think. So I want to welcome them to the show. We're getting
lunch at like what?
We're getting a lot of
10
likes
PM?
and shares. Yeah, getting a lot of likes and shares from the folks over there. Where this is a great show for us to project all the voices from Santa Barbara. We have one today.
Yeah, because Tibetans care a lot about Santa
They
Barbara
do.
voices.
They really do. Yeah, they care a lot about it. And they're very vocal. They're taxpayers, you know. They help to fund Santa Barbara City College. And they're quite upset about the fact that there are no conservative clubs up there. And
yeah, because monks are pretty conservative.
Monks are very conservative. They're extremely conservative. They have the little bell and the incense, you know.
They're so fed up with the liberal nature of Santa Barbara. They're just not talking to anyone.
Talking to Cage Englander. He is the founder and are you the president of the club?
I think the term is founding chairman.
Founding chairman of
it sounds a lot more fancier.
To Santa Barbara City College, Young Americans for Freedom. I don't know if you know about Young Americans for Freedom out there, this being Santa Barbara, probably only 3 people know. So could you please tell us...
Go to the Reagan Ranch if you would like any information on YAF as an overall
organization. Could you
organization.
please tell us what the Young Americans for Freedom are
so
here in this wasteland of liberalism?
So Young Americans Foundation, which is what owns the Reagan Ranch, which is right nearby us, actually, on State Street.
They bring in speakers, too.
Yeah, they bring in speakers. So Young Americans Foundation is a big national chain of conservative youth organizations that's main goal is to bring ideas of limited government, freedom of expression, free market, and strong national defense. Those are their 3 main pillars that they focus on. And they just focus on bringing academic conservative voices under those 3 main pillars to campuses. They work closely with a lot of people at the Daily Wire. They know anyone there is to know at DC, and they're just a great organization. And then you can make sub-chapters called Young American for Freedom chapters, which are these chapters in which you can bring speakers onto your campus, host weekly events, host weekly meetings, etc. The nicest part about that is just the administration allows you to get better speakers for better prices, and it makes fundraising a lot easier. So That generally what YAF is as a program.
Now, are there dogmas that you have to genuflect before? And if you wander off the reservation, you have your franchise removed from YAF?
So that can depend on the YAF chapter.
That's one of the criticisms of YAF.
I know that they're a lot stricter with high school chapters because, well, high school is a lot stickier of a situation in general, a lot less freedom in high school. With my chapter so far, generally, as long as you follow the procedures, which are a monthly meeting of the officers, you have to submit all your financial information before you cash any major checks to anyone. You do have to let them know. But in my conversations with Kyle Farabee and Andrew Coffin and a few other people at the program, they're generally relatively fair. I mean, you will have your chapter revoked if you go out and scream on all of your social media that the YAF is a dumb program. But then again, why you would have a chapter
why
in the
would you
first
do
place
that? Yeah, exactly.
Is beyond me.
Yeah.
So they're not really how do I put this? They're not going to interfere with your chapter if your chapter doesn't do anything dumb. And honestly, the positives far outweigh the negative. I mean, to get Shapiro as a speaker, God knows how much he would be if you weren't running through YAF. If you're running through YAF, if this whatever stop you're at is on the way through one of his speaking tours, it's literally $500. So,
oh wow, that's a bargain.
Yeah, I mean, he makes money off the videos that he puts up, but
yeah,
that makes it so that
because he turns them into podcasts, and the podcasts make him a ton of money.
Yeah. So YAF as an organization, people criticize its bureaucracy. I think honestly, the critics of its bureaucracy are the libertarians and the conservative party that naturally are going to dislike bureaucracy anyways. And so I would say anyone wanting to start a YAF chapter should not be scared of it at all. You won't run into issues as long as you're not actively speaking against those proposals.
What's your definition of conservative? I never even asked you. I know how Russell Kirk defines it. Let me start with that. Why don't I tack that up on the wall as a sort of a target for you to shoot some darts at? Russell Kirk, of course, is one of the most famous interpreters of American conservatism, actually worldwide conservatism, Russell Kirk. He famously has written 10 Principles of Conservatism, which I posted on my Facebook page this morning, just in time for the Tibetan monks to read.
Right before they go to bed.
Well, no, they had a little ceremony there, and they wanted to read this article before that. In any case,
How are
he
you in
says
contact
that,
with them?
anyways, he famously defined that conservatism is not an ideology. In fact, it is specifically non-ideological. So in other words, it does not have a set of dogmas attached to it. It's not like the Vatican where you have to believe in certain
I couldn't agree with him more.
transubstantiation or anything like that. So he also goes on to say that conservatism is really an attitude of mind. It's a state of mind. It is more than just a syllabus of ideas, intellectual pursuits, and intellectual exercises. It's really a state of mind. How do you cage 16-year-old CageEnglander, the founding chair of YAF at City College? How do you define conservative?
I have two main things I would shove under conservatism. One is a complex definition. One is a simple definition. Simple definition to me is understanding that people are flawed, and not wanting a congregated group of people, i.e., the government, congregated group of course, like anyone else, inherently flawed people. To have innate power. So to me, the general tenet of conservatism is understanding that society is flawed and the government is a microcosm of society. So the more power you give it, the more flaws you'll see. And
so it's closer to libertarianism, isn't it? Than
I think it's similar. It's closer to libertarianism than any other philosophy. But to me, it's really good conservatism is defending the Constitution is the basic holy grail of conservatism. And typically most conservatives would be an originalist on that. I would hazard a guess. And to me, true conservatism is understanding the initial goal of America as written by our founding fathers, and then from there trying to implement that as best as possible.
But our founding writers are the founders of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They were not conservatives; they were libertarians, if anything, and they were liberals. Like John Locke was certainly a liberal.
I think conservatism is basically libertarianism put into a modern atmosphere, because quite frankly, libertarianism, with how complicated our world is not feasible.
Well, libertarians in general, don't you suppose, they recognize that we are in a Hobbesian contract, a social contract, very much like Socrates. I'm wearing my Socrates sweatshirt today. Socrates decided to drink the hemlock because why? He said that, well, I made a deal with the government of Athens, and as long as I obeyed certain laws, they were going to protect me and give me certain rights and responsibilities. But they found that I violated the laws. They said that I corrupted the youth of Athens, so I'm going to drink the poison.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that libertarianism just in general is infeasible in modern society. And I do think that libertarians don't give enough credence to social contract, like the whole argument of, well, the ultimate ending of any given crime is jail time, I think is kind of ridiculous because
speaking of jail, we're up against another commercial break right now.
Darn. Didn't even
Money,
get to
money,
my other
money.
description.
The devil made me do it.
All right, we're going to be right back here with Voices of Santa Barbara, Mark McIntire, and CageEnglander. All right. A very engaging conversation we're having here with CageEnglander, the impresario of the music world in L.A.
The monks
also
must be loving me by now.
What?
The monks must be loving me by
They
now.
are. Aren't you getting? You're getting email. You're getting text messages because
I can't pronounce any of the names, but they're giving me really kind comments.
Yeah, if you want to text Cage, those of you who have his text information, go right ahead and do it. We're talking about his the founding of his new Young Americans for Freedom Club at Santa Barbara City College, of which he is the founding chair. How many members do you have right now?
So currently we have the founding officers. We have an email list of about 28 potential members. We haven't had a formal public launch because currently we've been dealing with organization of our bank accounts, et cetera, donations, et cetera. We want to have all of our ducks in a row before we start hosting public meetings at CC.
Quack.
Yeah, plus we're going to get protests. And the last thing we need when we're discussing how to organize our finances
is unorganized ducks. You don't need unorganized ducks.
You really can't have unorganized ducks running
You ever
around.
tried to herd ducks? It's like herding cats. You can't do it.
But they hurt themselves.
Yeah, I know. Well, at least the ducks will follow the lead duck, you know?
Yeah, if you just hurt the lead duck.
Cats won't do that.
No, so our main goal is before we have a public launch at CC and start hosting events with people in person, our main goal is to just get everything organized. We are still to be determined on whether we'll host a public CC launch before our first speaker, depending on the scheduling of our first speaker. We might want to do a kind of like big grand showing by having a speaker then directly launching into our public meetings right after. Though, so yeah, to answer your question in a very long roundabout way that made very little sense, we are not hosting public meetings yet, but it will be announced on our Facebook, SBCC Young Americans for Freedom, when we do.
Right, and of course it's open to all. I think all clubs at City College have to be open for everybody.
All clubs at City College are open for everybody. The first hour of the club will be open for everybody, but then if you want to be part of YAF as a program itself, you have to submit a written form to be part of the SBCC YAF chapter officially, which all the official members, quote unquote, will meet 30 minutes more, and we'll discuss actually bringing speakers in, finances, etc. To be a member of that, you do have to be a student of CC or an alumni. And the board of the YAF chapter does have the right to deny membership. And that's really just self-regulation enactment, just so we don't get a bunch of protesters joining our club to swing votes, etc.
Just to upset and to dissemble and to destroy, and that's pretty standard. That's protected by law.
But of course, if we reject you, which we won't, honestly, as long as someone's clearly not trying to divide the club in any way, we won't reject anyone.
Right.
But you can always petition to YAF to have us removed as a chapter.
Now, the page one article that was done on you yesterday, by the way, I love the picture.
Very nice.
I love the picture because you're standing. The picture of you.
I don't. I'm huge, and I look like I'm about to eat the microphone.
Taken by Nick Masuda. You're looking up at the gallery. Are you being heckled by the witches of Eastwick? There are witches that attend these meetings, you know.
Surprisingly,
actual witches.
Surprisingly, during my speech, I was not.
Macbeth,
yeah, the Tibetan monks must hate those witches.
They do. I mean, just like the Macbeth, the opening scene there, Macbeth. You know.
Oh, I don't want to talk about
fire and flame and bubble.
I love those witches, man.
Last thing I want to think about is
them here at
stage
City
plays.
College. We have these. They heckle people. They
So,
interrupt public
during my
speakers a
speech,
lot,
luckily, I did
you
not
know.
get heckled at all.
But
I
it looks
only
like
got
you're
heckled
doing that.
after
Look
my
at that
speech.
picture. You look like you're being attacked by witches or something of that nature.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the fact that the news media always finds a way to pick the absolute worst photo of anyone when posting it online. That's no knock on the media.
You look like badass. I'm gonna.
I think Scott Stapleton or whatever. What was his name again?
Scott Stapleton.
Yeah. I
News
called that
Press
right
City
first
editor.
try.
By the way, very few articles, appear under his byline because he's got a big job. So he did a really good job on it.
Yeah. No, I really would like to thank him from the bottom of my heart. It was a really good article.
Now he says that you're filling a void. What is the void you think you're filling at Santa Barbara City College?
So the void we think we're filling is just that of conservative voices in general, and just that of differing opinions. I have met many conservative students on campus who feel like there's no real place for them to express their conservatism, so they're doing the like see no evil, hear no evil, close your eyes and don't talk about politics thing.
Yeah. I had the same experience when I was there teaching for 23 years. I got a lot of emails from faculty. I used to call the name of the folder in my email pouch is called Under the Desk. That's the name of the folder. And, and then the folder were all these emails from faculty saying, oh, Professor McIntire, we agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't want to lose my job. I don't want to have my department chairman come down on me. But, gung-ho, go for it. Stay the course. And I say, thanks a lot. You know. You find that with students, too? You find that with students?
I find that with students. It's a lot easier with students because you just can kind of just not talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
So our goal is we're trying to stay very professional and academic. We don't want to be mistaken for like one of those clubs that just goes and screams about how loony the left is or something like that, because we don't believe that. Honestly, we believe that conservatives and liberals both have similar goals. We both want to see climate change. Climate change be stopped. We just want to see it from the private sector. We both want to see racial equality. We just want equality of opportunity. No one's differing on the goals. The only difference is how to get to those goals. So we really are trying to be an academic institution and help everyone we can in having an academic discourse on campus of diverse opinions.
And that is noted here in the article by Scott Stapleton that one of your main goals is to get diversity of thought. How do you think it came about that there's no diversity of thought at Santa Barbara City College? There's diversity of genital configuration. There's diversity according to the pigmentation of your skin. There are all kinds of.
So I think the diversity of thought at City College was just that, honestly,
there isn't any.
Well,
it doesn't exist.
There's not much at all. The thing with diversity of thought the thing with diversity of thought in Santa Barbara is I feel as if what happened with diversity of thought is just that there's a select few of more liberal teachers. Those liberal teachers had a liberal echo chamber to speak to, and it got to a point where 70% of the school is liberal, and the rest were just like, hey, we'll just not talk about politics, so we're out of college. So I think it's just because there was no real institution within CC that wasn't liberal. There was no real place to express yourself, and that's really...
Well, does this start in high school? I mean, does this liberal indoctrination start in high school? You're in high school, so what's the story there? Are all of your teachers liberal in high school?
I would say in California so far, I've not met I had an English teacher, and that's great. That was very conservative. But other than that...
you did? My God.
Yeah, he wore a MAGA hat to school.
No kidding. Did he get fired for that?
I do not know. I personally thought it was kind of wrong because teachers technically aren't supposed to display political opinions right or left.
Unless it's on the left, then you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, but I like to hold people to the same standards, so I thought it was kind of wrong.
I do too, yeah.
But there definitely is very little conservative voice in high school. It really does depend on the high school. I know San Marcos has a fair bit more conservative.
Let me ask you this question. In high school, did you study the Constitution of the United States? That would be a no.
No, okay. So I'm sure we went over it in one American history class. We went over
one
it
class. Isn't that nice? But
That's
you were
crazy.
busy talking about gendered bathrooms, weren't you? You were busy talking about
actually, that
racial
talk
minorities,
didn't start
right?
until I had left high school.
Oh, I see.
That talk started one day after I left freshman year. So I got to dodge that whole debacle.
So there was one class. I mean, was it one period of a class that was devoted to the Constitution of the United States?
So
what does the Amendment number 9 do? Do you know? The Constitution?
About that. I'll get back to you on that one. No.
Why don't you have your people call my people, right?
Yeah, I'll have my people contact you with the
All right, we're going to take a break so that Cage can read the Constitution. He missed that in class. He wasn't there. And we'll be right back after these great messages. Stay with us. Yes, there are a lot of people who are trying to call in, but we do not take phone calls on this show. Thanks very much. We're too busy picking the brain of a young genius here.
I'd say that's a bit strong of a term to give me.
Young genius, or emerging genius. Before we went to break, we were talking about the notion of is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights taught in middle school as a possible explanation as to why there's so much liberal progressivism at Santa Barbara City College and in universities, generally speaking. And this morning, Cage, I was reading an article concerning Tennessee, the state of Tennessee. The legislature actually is passing a law that every student is required, instead of an ethnic studies class, instead of a black studies class, instead of a gender studies class, instead of a women's studies class, they're actually going to have a 3-credit class mandatory that you have to study the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States. What do you think about that? Do you think that's kind of harsh?
So I think
Why should they jam that down those poor kids' throat?
I think that...
Really? That's indoctrination, isn't it?
Indoctrination in the country you live in. No, to me, I think that having a full class on it, may not be the most optimal solution, just because I know as a high school student you're already taking so many classes that the last thing you want is to tack on another class workload. But I think that definitely a substantial portion of your American history time should be spent on the Constitution, or some sort of what I've always wanted is some sort of mandatory legal class in which you could teach it during that, because to me, in any field there are two classes that will help you no matter what: a basic business class. And a basic legal class. No matter what field you are, whether you're an author, whether you're a marketer, whether you do underwater basket weaving with your hands tied behind your back, those two classes will inevitably help you.
Full disclosure here, folks. His mother is a lawyer.
No, she's an underwater basket weaver.
She's an underwater basket weaver and a lawyer.
And a lawyer.
Okay. Are the two terms interchangeable, equal in everywhere?
So yeah, sometimes she does law while underwater weaving baskets.
Right. I'm not going to tell my favorite lawyer joke because I respect your mother.
Oh, no, you can tell any lawyer jokes you want.
Okay,
Technically,
then
she's
I'll
not.
tell you. I'll ask you. What's the difference between laboratory rats and lawyers?
What?
There are just some things that laboratory rats refuse to do. All right, I got away with
No,
that.
in her defense, she's technically not an attorney right now. She hires enough attorneys that she hasn't renewed
She's wonderful.
her
And
license.
you know what? Your grammar, syntax, and diction, which is the way I measure people when I first meet them, I take an assessment of their grammar, syntax, and diction. That's what impressed me about you the very first time I met you. And I said, I bet his either mother or father are lawyers.
Well, yeah, grammar, syntax, and diction are helped a lot when your father was an English professor and your mother was a lawyer. Those two careers definitely aid in the whole eloquent speaking side of things.
Yeah, not only are you able to formulate a thought, you're able to actually express it in an intelligible, coherent sentence.
Yeah, it's rather convenient how that works.
You don't use the word like and awesome as punctuation marks. Like, and like, awesome, and you know. Thank you.
You
Dr.
clearly
Dougal
haven't heard me speak long enough. It depends on my energy level whether I want to rely on like and as placeholders for intelligent thought.
So anyway, you're looking for patrons and sponsors for your YAF club, correct?
We're not. We don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if anyone,
Oh yes, you do. Come on.
Okay,
Come on. Don't give me that.
So we are looking for donations in any way possible. We will have our bank account set up probably tonight, or if not tonight, tomorrow, whenever we officially get registered by
You're actually
college.
already receiving offers of donations.
We are, and I am so grateful for everyone that has offered. The thing is, like I said earlier in
That's
the
because
show,
I reposted your article.
100%.
I want 20% of that, by the way. Anything
20% of all donations. Sadly, due to the
I
fact
wanna
YAF
be
is a
your
501c3 nonprofit, we cannot give you a salary for anything because we are not on the
No,
board.
but I'm a vendor. You can pay me as a consultant, you see.
Can we though?
Yeah, yes, you can.
I'm gonna need a contract for that. No, so the thing is, the thing with
Just kidding, just
donations
kidding.
is we like I said earlier in the show, for anyone just tuning in, we are trying to get self-sufficient through selling tickets to events. That is our number one goal, because we don't want to have to keep knocking on doors asking people for money. Though we'll always take money. We're very good at taking money.
I noticed that, yeah.
In regards to donations, we just need those donations to help us get off the ground. Anything once we're off the ground is just because you're awesome if you want to donate to us.
Besides Ben Shapiro, which is your holy grail, who are some of the other people that you're thinking of inviting?
So we are talking to YAF about some of Reagan's economic advisors. We're looking at a lot of free market people, a lot of business owners, etc.
Well, why don't you piggyback with Andrew Coffin down there, and his assistant, Sarah.
we were actually thinking of doing kind of a post-Reagan Ranch speaking style thing.
Well, because
where
we're doing that at the TV station for my Freedom Matters show, where we worked out a deal with Andrew that they'll offer any of the speakers the opportunity to come on my show.
Exactly. So that's kind of what we're thinking and doing. So we're gonna try to snag a couple of them. Like, hey, do you want to come down Friday for a speaking event?
Yeah.
Enjoy a nice weekend in Santa Barbara.
Exactly. They're here for. Did you know that there are like 4 major conferences of young people that the Reagan Center is sponsoring at the YAF?
I did.
Yeah.
So
Talk to Andrew about
the
that.
speaker list is a lot of economics people. We really want to focus around free speech and free markets. Those are our two main tenets that we're focusing on. Strong national defense. I mean, Santa Barbara during... Well, this is a while ago, but during Vietnam had one of the highest recruitment rates of the Army. Santa Barbara values a strong
That's
national
because we were
defense.
attacked by a Japanese submarine off of Goleta. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but we've always been a city. I mean, I know
From
alone.
Tibet, the submarine was... the submarine was from
I know
Tibet.
alone that a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know are joining the military. We have actually a very pro-military culture in Santa Barbara.
I know.
And
We do.
I'm
know.
I'm very proud of that.
And
So
a lot of veterans live here. They've retired.
yeah, so we're actually going to put on a lot of veterans events and stuff.
Good.
We're going to work
Good,
with a lot
good,
of
good,
veterans
good.
associations. But that's not the main tenet we're going to be focusing on, just because I think Santa Barbara has a good grasp of that already. We're going to be focusing on free markets, free speech. Another person who's high on the list, and this might be my personal bias just because I admire him a lot as a person, but Andrew Clavin, who is a former Santa
lives
Barbara
here, doesn't he?
resident. He what? He did live here.
yeah.
That
I love Andrew. He's such
Andrew's
a
great. His
brilliant
cold
mind.
opens are amazing.
He's crazy.
But he's a person I'd really love to have come down here.
Sure. Sure.
I think we could pay him in a nice Airbnb.
Right.
Because I've heard him complain about LA so many times on his podcast and reminisce to Santa Barbara so many times on his podcast.
He misses us, doesn't he?
He does
Yeah,
miss
he
us.
does
I
miss
know.
us, yeah.
So
Everybody wants to be here. So, yeah, work with Andrew down there.
So yeah, I'd love to get Clavin in here.
Yeah.
If Michael Knowles wants to come on, Michael Knowles
How
contact
about Charlie
us at
Kirk?
SBCC.
Are you a big Charlie Kirk fan?
Ooh, there's
No?
a bit of a feud between YAF
Uh-oh.
and Turning Point. That
Uh-oh.
Charlie Kirk. So also Charlie Kirk, the battle Charlie Kirk is fighting is a battle that we're not involved in.
It's a battle you don't want to fight.
Charlie Kirk is fighting the cultural battle. Anyone wanting to fight for a cultural aspect of conservatism, I'm all for. I congratulate him on his work. Turning Point is, despite the feud between YAF and Turning Point that occurred, Turning Point's still a great organization.
So what are some of
doing
the
good things.
cultural issues that Charlie Kirk
I
is...
think he's trying to make conservatism more personal, and so conservatism as an ideology, I've always contended, is actually rather boring, because it's all about limiting things, limiting government, limiting that, and just saying people do whatever the hell you want.
Well, isn't the less government better than more government?
Even if it's better, it's a boring thing. Then we're going to give you everything you could ever want, and more. Here's climate change solved. So
If there is climate
I
change.
think it's very hard for conservatives to be relatable in the media. Also, you have a lot of evangelical conservatives that, I mean, will make, quite frankly, if you've ever seen like a conservative Christian movie, they're the most boring movies you'll ever see. So I think Turning Point is fighting that cultural movie, music, etc. battle.
Yeah.
And I support that, but YAF as an organization is more of an academic and academic dialogue style organization. They do bring people like Stephen Crowder in who are more on the cultural side, but that's not their main goal. So as much as I respect what Charlie Kirk is doing as an organization, etc., he's not the type of speaker that we want to focus ourselves around.
Final question for this segment, because I want to save time for your legacy segment. The legacy segment is our last segment. That's when you get to tell us where you're going, Cage of life, how the world is going to be a better place because you lived in it. But before we get to that,
Something like that.
Are you in favor of President Trump issuing an executive order that would defund the research grants from the government, which account for 50% of their budget, if and when the university fails to protect free speech?
So I would argue that well, protecting free speech, that's kind of a hard thing to quantify.
Well, don't
but
you
I would
want to
argue
protect? Isn't that the reason that you've started the
No,
club, is
no,
to protect
but
free speech?
quantifying, like for Berkeley with Shapiro, I mean, I disagree with what they did, but quantifying that from a governmental perspective would be kind of hard to do. So
you know, of course, that the college Republicans at Berkeley, they didn't agree with Shapiro, but
Yeah.
they're the ones who sponsored him.
So
that gets kind of lost
To
in
me,
the
I
whole
think the
narrative, doesn't
government. It's about time the government realized bias on universities, et cetera. And I'm all for that. I personally, being the filthy little libertarian that I am,
You don't want any rule by what?
no, I'm not a fan of executive power being increased even more. So I would encourage President Trump. Of course, he's not listening to this.
You never know. He is
well,
in
if
Tibet.
he is,
You know,
Trump,
he is in
do you
Tibet.
want to donate? I know you got the money to donate.
No, he's spending a weekend here, the whole week in a Tibetan monastery.
Oh,
So
true.
he's
Yeah.
obviously
So he's
listening to the
probably in
show.
Tibet listening to our show.
He absolutely
No,
is,
so
yeah.
I encourage the act of just trying to bring more balanced viewpoints to academic institutions. I don't like the idea of it being done through an executive order. That's the only qualm I have with this. I think that it is about time that conservatives kind of make a how do I put this? A vibe for mainstream academia.
Well,
respect.
some argue that there are already laws on the books in the distribution. Every agency that issues grants to research facilities at colleges and universities, there are already laws on the books which prohibit any effort to suppress freedom of speech.
But do they follow them?
Well, that's the whole point. That's where your mother's law firm comes in. In any case, we're going to take our break here.
She's funded by the people who live.
We're going to take a break. It's our legacy segment coming up, so please stay tuned. We want to hear that from Cage. Stay tuned. All good things must come to an end, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, gosh. Even this show with Cage Englander, Voices of Santa Barbara. Oh, my gosh. Another one that's slipping by. Hey, we're at the last segment number 5, which is legacy. And I ask all of my guests this, and it's a very simple question. Here's a 16-year-old man who's taking charge of Young Americans for Freedom, who's also doing a lot of great things in Hollywood in the music business. Cage, what's going to be your legacy in life? Why is this planet going to be a better place? Because
I wouldn't go that far. I really wouldn't go that far.
Cage became a gajillionaire.
So, I mean, my general goals is to continue with activism on topics I'm interested in, which is obviously politics is one. I've considered going into politics. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. My main goal is to just, how do I describe this? I don't know. Eccentricity is kind of my goal.
That's why I asked you the question.
I'd like to go into, I don't know the answer to your question. No. So I'd like
That's
to.
Good. That's good. That's good.
My main goal is just building up a network of people around me that I admire and like to work with. Money is a strong goal of mine. But I think it has to be money in the right places. I don't want to go into a field like technology where I don't get to employ other people. I think it would be much more gratifying as a whole to be able to employ people. That's why I've always loved like the marketing and music industry.
Yeah.
And I think overall, I just want to find success in whatever I may put my mind to. I think that whatever I do after about 30, 35-ish, I'll likely try to strive to go into politics a fair bit, see what I can do there. I've always loved politics. If I could make more money in it, I would go into politics right out of college. But
the article that was on page 1, written by Scott Stapleton on the News Press yesterday, assigned you to the Z generation, I believe.
Generation Z, whatever that means.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I saw. I didn't know what that meant. I was going to ask you. Do you know what it means?
Generation Z is basically a generation of slightly more logical millennials. And
logical
I say slightly.
Millennials.
Yeah, slightly more logical millennials.
That wouldn't take very much.
It's really weird, isn't it?
Very much. No.
So it's basically my generation. For the best way I'd describe it is, it looked at millennials and was like, "Wow, that's a really abnormal
my
generation."
definition is millennials will actually work.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they might not work to the right things, but at least unlike millennials,
they're employed.
They work,
they're employed.
Yeah. So Generation Z, I think. I mean, it's way more conservative than the millennial generation. I'm proud to say that. I don't have exact numbers off the top of my head, so I don't want to look like an idiot. But I know it is a lot more conservative than previous youth generations after the 80s. So I would like to thank my generation for being logical.
Do you believe in the pendulum theory of political transition, that one power group establishes itself and becomes dominant, and then uprising, then it becomes corrupted?
I do, but I do believe that it happens. I think it's kind of annoying, and it's not really practical. I think it does deter from logical discussion of ideas. And basically, my goal is to stop that pendulum. Just stop it moving.
But do you think it can, or do you think it's inherent in human nature that there are dominant forces?
I think it's natural in human nature to start that pendulum swinging, but I don't think it's impossible to stop it. I think the big factor in stopping it is academia and education.
But can it be stopped? I mean,
I think it can. I think it can. It'll take a lot more force because stopping it will go against human nature. But there are many times in which society.
So you think that there will be a point of stasis, of stationary?
I don't know if there will be a point, but I think there is the possibility of a point, and I would like to see a point in which politics becomes something that's more objectively discussed, which, I mean, for all their faults, the 50s, of course, would be an example of an era in which politics was more objectively discussed. The 50s had a lot of other issues.
It was pretty static.
Yeah, but
there wasn't much
but I
opposition
think there is
to
a possibility to go back to that. I think that through seeing conservative intellectuals online, like Jordan Peterson, he's not political, but he's conservative, whether he likes it or not.
Right.
Ben Shapiro, Clavin, all those guys.
We got about 1 minute to go. I wanted to ask you.
No.
That's I've got about 1 minute, and I know that they're going back into chapel in Tibet, and they want to get their prayers done. But what school are you headed to? Or have you applied through colleges and universities?
Technically, I haven't applied yet, but Vanderbilt, Tulane, etc.
We wish you much success. I want to thank you for doing the show, and I know you're going to be. You're already a success, okay? And the reason I ask you about the legacy is because you're already a success. Enjoy it. Thanks a lot, Cage Englander. You'll be hearing about him and from him.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
All right.